I'm Cath and this is made by Cath Craft. Thank you very much for joining me for another video. It's very lovely to have you here. And this is going to be one of my catch-up videos, so I'm going to be talking all about what I've been sewing over the last week or so. And actually earlier this week I was a bit concerned I wouldn't have much to talk about, but since then I've got busier on the crafting front and I do have a few different things to share. So yes, I'm looking forward to chatting it all through with you as usual. But I'll kick off as ever with what I'm wearing today for my handmade wardrobe. And it's definitely very autumnal here now in the south of England. And I've got on a cosy pair of ready-to-wear jeans with a handmade sweatshirt. This is a bit of an old one, but I love getting it out at this time of year. It's one of my range of Megan Nielsen Jarrah sweatshirts. I do have a few, as you probably know. It's a really nice versatile pattern. So I've got a few different features in this version. So this is a pattern here, and the version I'm wearing today has the funnel neck and the cuffs and this curved hem that sort of dips down a bit further at the back than at the front. It's really nice and cozy with this neckline, and the fabric is a lovely cozy one too. It's this quilted jersey fabric that I got a few years ago from Higgs and Higgs. But even though I got this fabric a few years ago, it does seem to be a type of fabric that Higgs and Higgs like to keep in stock and continue to sell. It must be one of their core ranges of fabric they always like to have available. And I had a little peek on the website before I came on to film, and I do have it at the moment in a few different colourways, so I'll link them down below. One of them was a navy, which looked quite similar to this colour, but maybe a few shades darker. I think this may have been described as a denim perhaps. It's a bit lighter than a navy, I'd say. But yeah, it's a lovely fabric, super snuggly and cosy, and I really like the kind of quilted texture of it. I think it's a really nice feature. And I'll put a picture up of my outfit today. I'm wearing it tucked in at the front and then loose at the back, so you can see the nice curve at the back. I'll stand up so you can just see that. And I've got it on with a pair of wide-legged or fairly wide-legged, maybe straight-legged, somewhere in between straight and wide-legged jeans, which I'm loving wearing at the moment. They are so comfy compared to skinny jeans, I find, and especially because with the kittens, I'm on the floor a lot, playing with them, cross-legged, that sort of thing. Yeah, they're just nice and easy to move about in. So I'm glad that they're more in fashion at the moment and definitely enjoying that comfier sort of leg style. Anyway, that is what I'm wearing today. I'll link the Jarrah sweatshirt pattern down below as well. I think it's a perfect autumnal sweatshirt pattern with loads of different variations. I love it. Anyway, yes, I'll move on to what I've been sewing this week. So the first thing that I've been up to this week is to make some more progress on my Werner vest, which had sort of been sitting in quite an early stage of construction for quite a while. So I'm glad to have made some progress on it this week. So this is the Werner vest pattern here. It's by a Sewing Machiner, and it's my second pattern by Sewing Machiner. I really like her patterns, and I find they come together really nicely from my experience so far of sewing too. So the Werner vest is designed to be an oversized lined vest, and it comes in 3 different length options: this cropped length, and then a mid-length, and a slightly longer length, which I guess is probably designed to come down to about your hips. And it's finished with press fasteners, and the edge is bound, and you can add pockets if you make either of these 2 versions, but there's not quite room for them if you make the cropped version. And in terms of sizing, it goes from a size A to L, which takes you from bust of just under 30 inches up to bust of 50 3/8 of an inch. So yeah, I was really looking forward to trying this pattern. I thought it was just quite a nice, simple, clean looking vest, and one that'll be great for my autumn wardrobe as a layering piece. Just to pop on when it's not quite cold enough for a cozy coat, but I still want a little extra layer. So what I decided to do, you may remember from a few videos back, is I decided to make a wearable toile using a leftover piece of fabric I had from another project, and I had just enough to make the cropped version. I thought I'd just give it a go, see how the pattern came together, see if I liked it enough to then cut into some fabric I had planned for my slightly more fancy, proper version. So I've made some good progress on my Werner vest. I think last time I showed you it, I cut out all the pattern pieces and I just had it pinned into shape, and I was liking the shape, but I needed to, carry on with it. I actually ended up lengthening the crop version by 1.5 inches. I think that was pretty much the amount of fabric I had to play with of this leftover fabric, and I made the size be based on my bust measurement, and I just thought I'd see how it went. So yeah, this is my Werner vest now. So I've made some really good progress. The fabric, first of all, is this lovely double-sided fabric I got a while back from First for Fabrics. It's quilted and it's got corduroy, this lovely soft corduroy on one side, and then more of a classic sort of shiny coating style, outerwear style fabric on the other side. And it obviously in a navy. I had a look on the First for Fabrics website again before coming on here, and they do have this fabric still available in a couple of colourways. So I'll link their current selection of sort of quilted type fabrics down below so you can have a look, and it includes those 2 colourways. It's really nice fabric, and actually I found it easier to sew with than I expected, given that half of the side was slippery. Actually, it's been really nice to sew with. So anyway, yes, I've now got a lot more progress made. I've sewn all the seams on the inside. Now, because my fabric was double-sided, I decided not to line the vest like the pattern is intended to do. But that was quite straightforward. The only thing is you can just see the seams inside, which I've overlocked, whereas they wouldn't be visible, I guess, if it was lined, so slightly less neat inside. But I thought the corduroy is so nice, it seemed a shame not to have that. And I've overlocked the seams. I don't think they're too obvious. I use navy overlocking thread. You can see a little bit of the wadding there peeking through, but I don't think it'll be noticeable when I wear it. So that was quite nice and straightforward. And then the jacket is finished with binding around the armholes and all around the front and bottom. And that's what I've been doing too. So for this fabric, because once you kind of cut into it, the kind of wadding, you can see the wadding inside and it kind of opens up. Before I attach the bias binding, I just basted all around the edge to make sure that when I attach the binding, I did catch both layers of the fabric and there was no risk of one of them slipping. So I think it was worthwhile spending the time to do that. And then yes, I decided to go with this plain black satin bias binding. I think I mentioned a couple of weeks ago, I really wasn't sure what binding to use because I was struggling to find a matching navy colour. And so I had a little look on the Minerva website because they had this lovely satin bias binding, and I thought the finish of it, the kind of nice sort of silky, shiny finish, would be a perfect match for the outerwear, because it also has that sheen on it rather than kind of like a matte type binding. So I had a look at all the different colourways that are available, and there were quite a few colourways available. I'll link this binding down below. And I just couldn't see a colour that looked like it would work really well with this navy. There was a blue colour, but it looked like it would be a lighter blue, which I thought if I was going to go for blue, I'd have wanted to go darker really. So in the end, I thought, well, let's just go for black because I do wear a fair bit of navy and black. So I thought it would likely match with quite a lot of things in my wardrobe and probably make it a more versatile garment that I tend to reach for. So that is what I decided to go for, and actually I'm really pleased with how it turned out. I'll hold it up so you can see it properly. Yeah, I think it's really cute, and I really enjoyed sewing it. The binding was so much fun to put on. Because this binding is like a satin binding, it has a bit more substance and structure to it. It's not totally soft and floppy like I've had with some other bindings. So it felt like it went on really well and held its sort of shape and held position all the way around. It was really enjoyable to sew. I loved doing the little edge stitching on the top. I love a bit of top stitching, so I really enjoyed that. So yeah, it's all bound around the shoulders, around the front, around the bottom. Yeah, and I'll put it on so you can see how it looks now. It's not quite finished because I haven't added any press fasteners, but I'll talk about those in a moment. I'll pop it on now just so you can see what it looks like. Yeah, definitely recommend it for very enjoyable to sew this jacket. Obviously I haven't actually tried doing the line version, but that is next on my list. But yeah, I'll stand back a bit so you can see it. So this is the cropped version with, like I mentioned, 1.5 inches added on, and I'm about 5'6" for reference, in case you're thinking of making this, want to see where it falls. It falls just about where my jeans hit, I guess. And yeah, it's just like, I think it'll be a really nice little layering piece. It would even be quite nice as like a little body warmer underneath the coat if I wanted an extra layer then that didn't end up making my sleeves feel bulky. I could see myself slipping underneath a coat as well, or nice on its own. So yeah, the next step is adding press fasteners. I kind of toyed with the idea of just keeping it as it is without, but I think it will be nice to be able to pop it up to make it really nice and cozy. So what I thought I'd do was have a go of trying a press fastener on a little bit of fabric I had left over after cutting out those pattern pieces. Because when in the Werner pattern, I think when you go through the pattern, you're supposed to add on interfacing, so it kind of supports the press fasteners and stops the fabric from tearing when you add those press fasteners in through use. So I thought, I can't have interfacing on this because it hasn't got anywhere to hide it between two layers of fabric when this vest is lined. So I thought, well, let's just try doing a press fastener on a separate test piece of fabric and see how sturdy it looks, and if I think it is going to start tearing, or if I think I should be okay without interfacing. So I had these press fasteners I bought for another project, which I didn't end up actually making in the end. So I thought I'd just borrow one of these. They are anorak jacket snaps, 15mm. I thought that's about the size I'd want to go for on the jacket, a nice sturdy snaps. And I thought I'd give them a go on a test piece of fabric. And here is the one I popped on, which looks quite nice against the navy, I think. And yeah, it seems to be, it looks quite sturdy, I think. I'm pretty happy with that. And I think I'm going to go for it and add some onto my main jacket. I use my Prim pliers to put these on, which I find so much more easy than using a hammer and the little tool that comes in here. So yeah, that made it quite straightforward. And yeah, I don't think I'm going to go for this colour. Actually, I know I'm not going to go for this colour. I had a little look online and I found some available in the same size, but with like a lacquered black finish. So kind of hopefully a similar sort of sheen to the black bias tape around the edge of the jacket. Again, in 15mm, so I'm going to pop some on here, and I think that'll be a really nice finish and hopefully tie in the black binding with those black press stud fasteners. So I'm waiting for those to arrive. I ordered a pack. I think there's maybe 10 in a pack or something, so I won't need all of them. I'm not sure how many I'm going to use actually, but hopefully I'll be able to use the rest on another project at some point in the future. But yes, I'm really looking forward to finishing that vest and being able to wear it out, because it's the perfect time of year for it at the moment. So yeah, once those press fasteners have arrived, I'll get busy finishing that one. And so now that I've tried out the Werner vest pattern and I'm pretty happy that I like it and I like the fit too, I'm going to start planning to make the proper version I always had in mind from the get-go. So I've got the fabric here, and yeah, I just need to get started on that one now. I'm really looking forward to that. So this is the fabric I'm going to use for my proper version. It's this lovely cotton sherpa fleece I got a while back from Fabric Godmother. Unfortunately, this one isn't still in stock, but I'll link their current range of sort of sherpa style fabrics they have there at the moment. It's in this really nice creamy colour, and yeah, I love a bit of sherpa fleece, and I think it'll be lovely and cosy for autumn too. And I think for this fabric, I'd like to make the longer version. So this version here, I'm not sure if I'm going to add the pockets or not, but I'm going to line this one because the inside of this fabric's a bit of a funny one. It's got this sort of strange diagonal style pattern on it. I don't know whether that is the case with all sherpa fleeces, but I think it'll be nice lined. Yeah. You know what, you approve too, don't you? So yeah, that is my plan. And I think I'm going to go for the size B at the bust again, but I might grade out to a size C at the hips because that'll be closer to my hip measurement, and I don't want it to feel too snug around there, even though the vest is designed to be a bit oversized. So with this one, I've ordered some lining fabric, and that arrived this week. And this is it here. It's a cotton jersey fabric, because when I was reading about the instructions or the kind of recommendations for lining this pattern, it was saying that even if there's just a little bit of stretch in your outer fabric, it's worth going for a stretchy inner fabric, because once you start popping the layers together and applying that bias binding, you want them both to, if one of them has a give, you want the other one to have a give, otherwise it'll get quite tricky and they won't necessarily marry up very easily. So yeah, I went for a nice plain cotton jersey in a slightly darker tone to the cream, just to be quite a subtle, just a subtle inside. And did I say I'm not sure if I'm going to go to the pockets or not? They're a funny shape, the pocket piece. They're kind of like this, and you kind of have to tack them in place, stop them hanging down. I'm going to see if I can figure out a way of maybe actually sewing them totally in place so they're stable and they don't drag down, because I think I might find that a bit annoying if they kind of flopped when they're that shape. But yeah, I'm not sure about that. I need to have a figure out. I haven't got to that stage yet. I need to trace out the pattern piece in the right size and the right length first. Have you got my pen there? I've just got a cat playing with the pen in case you can hear the noise. So anyway, I'm really looking forward to giving that a go. And I think actually these press studs that I'm not going to use on this fabric, these might work really well on the cream. I think that might be a really nice combination. So I think I've got plenty left there still to be able to use on that fabric, and I will be able to interface it to keep it nice because I am lining the jacket. So the only other thing that I need for this project in terms of materials is the bias tape. And I really like how the Werner vest is finished with bias tape. I think it gives a really nice clean finish and also an interesting detail, and you can have fun with that colour that you choose the bias binding to. So when I made my order for Minerva and got this cotton jersey and the black satin bias tape for my first Werner vest, I also ordered 2 other colourways of the satin bias tape that I thought might go well with this creamy Sherpa fleece colour. I kind of took a gamble on the satin bias tape because I hadn't used it before, but I just like the idea of it being shiny. I thought it would give a really nice finish to an outerwear type piece. So anyway, I wasn't sure what would work with this creamy colour. I didn't necessarily want a cream because I thought it'd be hard to get an exact colour match, and also I thought it might be a bit too light and end up just kind of showing up a bit of dirt on it as I wore the jacket. So I thought I'd go for something a little bit darker, and I ordered 2 different colour options. And then when the parcel from Minerva arrived, which arrived a couple of days ago, there was only 1 colourway included, and I thought, oh, maybe I actually made a decision and decided one of the colourways wouldn't work, and I just ordered one in the end. So I'll just go with this one. And then actually this morning I got another email from Minerva saying my package had been dispatched, and I thought I haven't ordered anything since this. And actually the second bias tape is now on its way. So I don't know why it's coming slightly late, but it'll be nice to have 2 different options to decide on. So at the moment I've just got one of them, and this is the colour here. And it's called Nougat, I think. So it's kind of this sort of pretty sort of chestnutty, goldy, caramelly colour. And I'll show you it against the Sherpa fleece. So it's definitely a contrast bias binding, but I thought that might look quite nice on the edge. But I've also got a beige on order too, which might be a bit too, might not have enough sort of warmth in it because this is quite like a warm yellowy colour. So I'll be interested to see how that looks, but hopefully that'll be arriving soon so I can share it next week, and you can give me your thoughts on which one might work best. In the meantime, there's plenty I can do in terms of getting the new pattern traced out and get started cutting out and sewing before I need the bias binding. I am a little concerned this fabric is a bit thicker than the fabric I used for my first Werner vest, and once the jersey's added to it, it'll be even thicker. And I'm hoping this bias binding will be wide enough to kind of be able to cover that edge without it feeling tricky. I think the pattern does say if you have bulky fabric, you could always use a wider bias binding, but I didn't want it to be too wide because I think part of the sort of how it looks nice is having quite a fine bias binding around the edge and not too bulky. So I guess when we get to that point, we'll see how it goes and see how this applies, and I can always try it on a tester piece of fabric first to check it goes okay, but fingers crossed. So yeah, I think there's all quite nice autumnal tones, and I'm looking forward to getting started on that one. And yeah, it'd be nice to have a couple of body warmers in my wardrobe. I have got one already I made a while back, the Irma body warmer from Fibre Mood. But I do love a body warmer, and that's quite a different style. It has a tie belt, so it's cinched in, whereas this is more of a sort of straight style, a little bit oversized. So yeah, anyway, I will keep you updated on my progress on that one. But yeah, I'm looking forward to getting started and looking forward to seeing the 2 different bias tapes and making a choice on that. And hopefully I'll be able to find a use for whichever one I don't use on this project. So those are my 2 Werner vests. And although the Sherpa fleece I'm using isn't available any longer at Fabric Godmother, I will link their current range they do have in stock of Sherpa fleeces because they have some lovely options available at the moment. And when I was looking, I was thinking they had some lovely printed ones. And I thought actually a Werner vest in a printed Sherpa fleece would be really, really funky and fun too. I guess the version I'm going for is quite classic with the creamy colour and the sort of beige tones on the lining. But yeah, I thought a brightly coloured printed version would be really, really fun too. But yeah, I'll link that range, and I'll also link the cotton jersey I'm using for the lining and also the satin bias tape I'm using as well. So that'll all be down below. But yes, the next thing that I've been sewing this week is quite a different type of project. And this is one I really think I should have sewn years ago, and I don't know why it's taken me so long to make this. It's a cute little crafty project, and it's really going to solve a problem or a minor irritation in my life. And it's this little drawstring bag here. So I made this lovely, cute little drawstring bag. It's lined, it's got this little opening with ribbons, really nice and easy to sort of open and close. And inside this little bag, or it's also a little bit boxed out at the bottom, inside this little bag is my overlocker pedal and cable. So yeah, I store my overlocker cable and pedal as well as my sewing machine pedal and cable in a cupboard in my utility room, and it's a high cupboard. and it's full of my sewing supplies, that cupboard, and I often just at the end of a sewing session jam in the pedals in there, and then the next time I open the cupboard they'll start to fall out, either a cable will drop down and then that'll bring the pedal down with it. And it's just been happening for absolutely ages, months, years even. It's just one of those things that I've kind of just got used to being a little bit annoying. But I thought to myself the other day, actually, I just need to pop these in little bags and then they'll sit so much better in the cupboard and be much less likely to flop out with the cables. So I thought I just need to get on and actually do that. And just on a whim at that moment, I thought, right, let's get it done. And it really took no time at all, and I should have done it ages ago. So yes, this is a cute little bag I've made. I used fabrics I already had in my stash. I have kind of like a folder of quilting weight cottons that I've used in other projects, and they're often useful for little things like this. So inside of the hot pink, I think I might have originally used this fabric on a quilt I made for my daughter. And on the outside is this fabric here, this mustard fabric with these pretty little, almost sort of blossomy florals on it, in quite a modern print. And I bought this a few years ago to make as a kind of feature fabric on a dress, and I didn't end up using it. So it's kind of just been sitting there, and it's a lovely weight, nice quality quilting cotton, so I thought it'd be useful for something. I've still got quite a little bit left, but it was nice to use a little bit for this, and I've just got ribbons at the top to sort of pull it in nicely. And yeah, it came together really nicely. I didn't use a particular pattern online, I just kind of had a little play and decided what size I wanted to make it myself. And I kind of wanted it roomy enough, well, not too big, so it ended up sort of being floppy in the cupboard, because that's what I didn't want. It would more be likely to fall out. But I didn't want it so small that it would be quite a hard job to get the pedal in there, and I'd end up having to sort of jam it in, and that would be kind of a bit of a pain in itself. So I'm pretty happy with how it fits in. It's kind of, it goes in quite nicely, but without being sort of really big and bulky, the bag. So yeah, just pop it in nice and easily, and then nice and easy to pop in the cupboard. So yeah, I'm really glad I've made it, and I've popped it in the cupboard, and it is so much easier and sits there so much more well behaved than when it was all just loose. And I haven't made a version for my sewing machine yet. I haven't decided what colours I want to use for that one. I think I'm going to go for something different, just so I can easily tell them apart, although part of me would quite like them to match. Yeah, part of me thinks that's just being a bit of a pain, because I'll have to get both out and have a peer in to see what I need. So I'm going to have a look what other fabric I have and make a second one for my sewing machine, pedal and cable too. But it's just solved a small problem, and it was a really fun sew, you know, because it's quilting cotton, so it's lovely and stable. And yeah, just a little bit of top stitching with that drawstring cable, which is always enjoyable too. And yeah, I'm glad to have done it. And I think if I go anywhere with my sewing machine as well, it'll be easier for traveling, because it'll be really easy to pop it in a bag and keep it all together rather than the cable getting tangled around other things. So yes, I'm glad I did it. If you're inspired to do something similar, there are loads of free tutorials online on YouTube, and also just on the internet generally, like written ones as well. I know I've used them in the past when I made other drawstring bags, and now I have a bit of an idea of what I'm doing. I don't need to do that, but yeah, there are loads of tutorials out there if you're looking for a particular size. It'll be out there somewhere, so definitely worth a look. But yeah, I'm really glad to have done that little project. And I love a bit of crafty sewing sometimes. It's just a nice break from dressmaking, I think. So yes, that is the other things I've sewn this week. So that brings me to the end of this video in terms of what I've been sewing this week. So thank you so much for joining me. It's been really nice to catch up, and I'm really pleased with what I've done this week. I'm really glad to have progressed that Werner vest, the navy one, which had been sitting in a drawer in a pinned together state for quite a while, and it's just the right time of year, I think, to be finishing that one off. And I'm also really glad to have done this little crafty project that is going to make a difference and save things falling out the cupboard every time I open my sewing cupboard, which is not the best start ever. It's when you want to have a little time to sew. So yes, I hope you've had a good week too, and I'll look forward to seeing you again very soon. But in the meantime, I will say bye. Bye.